Hey guys, Jack here. Last time I mentioned we're going over the Ultra that started it all. That's right, we're still going over the first, the legendary, the great, the original Ultraman. Now, we're also going to go over Ultraman Softy and his Heisei reincarnation, sort of, known as Ultraman Powered. But, before we do that, let's go into a little backstory. Now, the original Ultraman and is, well, of course, the original. The one that gave birth to the popular genre, the Ultra series in general, and is still continuing on with Ultraman Z or Ultraman Z. Now, we're also going to go into before we go into Zofty and his other incarnation, I think I may do his other incarnation first. Let's start with the original Ultraman. Now, let's start with a bit of backstory. Now, the original Ultraman, like I mentioned, is part of the Space Garrison from the Land of Light. He originally came to Earth where he crashed into the member of ESSP, the Super Science Patrol. The Super Science Patrol's Shin Hayata, and accidentally killed him. Now, whether it was out of remorse or because he's just a good guy, Ultraman merged with Hayata, reviving him. And he gave him his beta spark that allowed Hayata to transform into him. Now, being the original Ultraman has had a few costume changes, redesigns, updates to the classic, all that stuff. So, let's go into his original transformation item. That, of course, being the beta spark. Or actually, wait, I messed that up. This is actually the beta capsule. Now, anytime Hayata wants to transform into Ultraman, Hayata simply needs to raise the beta capsule up into the air, and then he pushes that small red button, and the capsule and the white clear top of the capsule will then flash, transforming him into Ultraman. Now, Now, today's Ultraman usually have highly choreographed fights, but the original Ultraman, which was also something for the original Super Sentai, involved in, well, more grapple attacks, basically like a pro wrestling match. Now, I've already covered his main attack, the Specium Ray, but I'll go over it again. He simply just crosses his hands in a plus position, and his left hand will fire a beam of energy from it. He also has another attack called the Ultra Slash, or as it's also called, the Dismembering Halo. Now, Ultraman can form an energy buzzsaw on his right hand. He'll stick his right arm out and bring his left hand to his head, forming the energy saw. And then he'll bring his right arm back and push his left arm forward, launching the saw. Now, I don't want this to be a too short video, because he's had also a lot of other attacks, but I think I just plan on going over his main ones. So we'll look at his reimagined state, Ultraman Powered, which came in Ultraman, which was the host of the Ultraman Hero. Now, he didn't have a reimagined version of Shin Hayata. He is the human host of Kenshi Kai. Now, contrast to the original Ultraman, the Ultraman series, where Ultraman merged with Shin Hayata so he could save his life, the Ultraman Powered merged with I'm gonna call him Kai, because actually I can't say Kenshi. Merged with Kenshi because he could not survive in Earth's atmosphere without a human host. It's a very interesting flip on its head sort of moment. I guess I should have really showed you guys Ultraman's body. Now, originally, Ultraman was created for the prequels. Now, I forgot to mention this while going over the history of the original Ultraman. He was originally made for the show Ultra Q. However, Subaraya Productions decided to make a completely new show centered around him. Now, like I mentioned before, Ultraman has had many body and head designs. This is his first one, or as it's better known, Ultraman Type A. If you guys can see, the head is clearly not the best. Made to look, well, that's because costuming was not the best back then. This is the Ultraman costume, also known as Ultraman Type B. As you can see, he's a little more refined. Still got that lumpy head shape, but it's more round and circular. And also his suit kind of looks better. And this is Ultraman. And this is the third Ultraman suit, or Ultraman Type C. This is the current suit, and we can finally see that refined look that most modern Ultras have, with the heads, with those lumps completely smoothed out. Now, unlike his original first two costume, he doesn't have really abs, but he does have chest pecs. So that's interesting to note. But anyway, back to Ultraman Powered. Now, I forgot to go over his transformation. Dang it. Now, instead of using the beta capsule for this one, Kenshi uses a device called the Flash Prism. Called the Flash Prism, which is Ultraman Powered's version of the beta capsule. Now, similar to Shin Hayata, all Kenshi has to do is raise the Flash Prism up into the air to transform into Ultraman Powered. Now, Ultraman Powered has similar concepts to his Ultraman counterpart. The Specium Ray being renamed the Mega Specium Ray. He still does the same plus-style positioning with his hands, but it's a more powerful version of the original. He also has the Powered Slash. Again, it's basically a similar version to his Ultra Slash, except the disc is smaller compared to the original. And to finish up this video, since it's a short video, I think I could go over Ultra 7. I'll save that for another video. We're going to look at Zophy, Ultraman Superior. Now, the original Ultraman at the end of the series, finding his final villain, Zeton, was not able to beat it. In fact, he died. It was up to the Super Science Patrol in order to stop it. However, another red sphere, which would later be referred to as a travel sphere, the same one that Ultraman came to Earth in and accidentally crashed into Hayata's ship with, contained Zophy, Ultraman Superior. Now, Zophy originally had his own beta capsule, and he used it to separate Ultraman and Hayata, saving both their lives, and took Ultraman back to the Land of Light to get his wounds healed. However, as a result of the separation, Hayata lost all his memories being Ultraman, and doesn't remember anything after the plane crash. As we can see in the end of the series by a confused look on his face. Now, the storyline would be picked up in the Ultraman Magna, where, well, because of Hayata's emergence with Ultraman, his son would develop something called the Ultra Factor, which basically gave him Ultraman's abilities. And And being unable to transform, he and his son were given Ultra suits. The Hayata for this one had the Proto suit. Now, originally, it was a black version of his Ultraman armor suit, but it got upgraded eventually to resemble Zofty. And his son had the Ultra suit, which was basically the real true version of the prototype suit. And it allowed him to, well, fight and use the semi-same abilities he has as his father. Technically the suit gives him power, but it's used because of his Ultra factor. Now, Zofty is an interesting case. Now, Zofty usually doesn't take a human host. If he does, it's only temporary, like for about, best case scenario, a week. He usually has a human disguise. Now, like I mentioned before, Zofty's original suit was basically another Ultraman suit. But this is his modern... Dang it. Hang on, guys. I don't care. I want to... Oh, my sweet lord. It doesn't end. Oh, thank God. Now, here is Zofty's current suit. Now, if you guys can see the little bumps, those are actually metals. As it's described, Zofty actually patrols the deepest parts of space, keeping big alien invasions away. Hence, all those metals. Now, Zofty originally had a beta spark, but its layer changed to he can transfer from willpower alone. Now, this will be covered again with Ultraman Jack, which we'll get into a little later. In fact, I'll go over the first 6 Ultra Brothers now, just to make it simple. Now, Zofty has the M87 ray. Now, basically, the M87 ray, if you guys remember from my Gengar review, but I'll go over the positions. He holds his right arm near his color timer, and his left arm outwards, shooting a beam from it. Now, there's also the M87 ray B, which is basically which he holds his hands similar to the wide shot. Now, this could be similar to Ultra 7's wide shot. You could consider this a prototype. Next is the Z-Ray. Now, like I mentioned with Z-Ray, first he'll hold his arms near his color timer, then thrust them outwards. He'll bring his arms downward so they're pointing vertically, and bring his arms back to his color timer, shooting a beam from it. And since we're here, we'll go over Ultra 7. Now, I've mentioned Ultra 7 before. Now, Ultra 7 was basically meant to be distant from the original Ultraman. He's also the first Ultra, in his case, to not have a human host, but have a human form. How did this come about? Well, 7 wasn't originally a warrior. He was mapping the galaxy when he came to the Milky Way. However, he saved a hiker and took his form, taking on the name Dan Moriboshi. He eventually joined the Ultra Science Patrol, which is a new version of the Super Science Patrol, clearly themed after Ultraman. Hang on, I need to... I should bring up his other forms. Sorry, guys. Oh, damn, that's a series. Hang on. Oh, they cover both. Now, Ultra 7 has had two different... And I've also mentioned before that Ultra 7 has had a son, Ultraman Zero. Now, Ultra 7's transformation is basically very different from Ultraman. When he's alone, he'll bring out his Ultra Eye like so. But instead of holding his hand like I'm doing, he'll hold it in his palm. He'll then slap on his face shouting, "Show up!" And then basically his entire head will transform. Now, he's had two different incarnations. Ultra 721 or Ultra 721 and Ultra 7X, which is a redesign of the series. But first, we'll look at the original Ultra 7. Now Ultra 7 was meant to be completely distant from the original Ultraman, and was supposed to be the last of the Ultra trilogy. However, those plans fell through with, well, I'm pretty sure, the return of Ultraman. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna bring up his series so we can get the best possible answer for this. Where is that series? Here we go. The Return of Ultraman. Well, I feel stupid. And we're just gonna bring up... Anyway, back to Ultra 7. Now, this is his other form, Ultra 7X. When in this series, his human host Jin uses what I like to call the Ultra IX. In fact, I should probably bring those up. And it doesn't really say. This is the original Ultra I, and this is the Ultra IX, as I personally call it. But in any case, let's go over Seven's most distinguishing feature is his beam lamp. Now, unlike color timers, which I should probably explain how the color timers do actually work. Now, in some cases, it limits to how long a human can stay transformed. But, real explanation, Ultraman are basically solar-powered batteries. And the color timer for Ultramen who travel other worlds, i.e. like the original Ultraman, these are meant to measure how much time they have before they need to recharge. Because usually when Ultras battle on other planets, they usually have multiple stars. However, when they fight on Earth, because we're a single star system, i.e. our sun, Ultramen on Earth, well, originally, could only stay transformed for 3 minutes. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, Ultra 7 has capsule monsters. What are capsule monsters? Basically, if Ultra 7 is unable to transform for any given reason, he can send out little monsters kept in color-coded capsules to fight on his behalf, and sometimes he'll even fight with them. Now, 7's main weapon is the Eye Slugger, the blade he keeps on the top of his forehead. Now, the Eye Slugger can either act like a boomerang weapon or a melee weapon, and he also has an ability called the Ultra Knock Tactics. Basically, he'll swing his Eye Slugger around multiple times and cut his opponent into pieces. Yes, the original Ultraman series was very gross. It was still cool, but very gross. Now, anyway, let's go over his special techniques. First is the Aluminum Beam. Now, again, gone over this in my Giga review, but I'll go over it again in case you haven't seen that. Basically, 7 will bring he'll hold his pointer and index fingers out like so, then bring them to his beam lamp then hold them on his forehead near his beam lamp, and then fire a beam out of them. Next is the Wide Shot. Basically, instead of a plus style like Ultraman, he does similar to Zofty. He brings his left arm from the top of his pinky down to the elbow and places it on his right arm, firing a beam, again, from pinky to elbow. Now he also has the 3 wide shot. Now, this was only used in episode 47, but basically it allows him to divide his wide shot into three blasts. And similar to an Ultraman X and Ultra 7X, obviously has these same techniques. Obviously. Next, we'll go over Ultra 721. Now, this comes from its courtesy of the Ultraman Neo. Now, this guy comes from the Ultraman Neo's universe, which, similar to Ultraman Powered, is pretty much another reimagining of the classic Ultraman, instead being called Ultraman Neos. Now, similar to Zofty, and who we're going to cover in a minute, Ultraman Jack, 7 transforms through willpower, and he doesn't have a set human form. He basically takes any form he wants. It could be from a little girl to an old man. Just an example. But in his first appearance, he was seen with red flashing eyes before rising. And contrary to other Ultraman, i.e. the first Ultraman and Zofty, who raised their arms out like so, Ultra 7 kind of did it like this, making sort of a trident shape with his body. Now, back to the transformation sequence. When he appears in other human forms, he'll basically do the same transformation style as his original counterpart. Oh, what do you know? He did transform into a mysterious little girl. Huh. Now, he once again has an eye slugger on his head, but in this case, it's called the Vezdar instead of the eye slugger. And he doesn't have a technique similar to the Ultra Knock tactics. Now he also has abilities similar to his Millennium Ray and Wide Shot. However, these are called the Adorium Ray and the Regis Shot. Now, instead of holding his 2 fingers near his, equivalent of a beam lamp on his forehead, he'll bring his right arm down near his body, hold his thumb out to the right, sticking his pointer and index finger up, and then bring it close to his head, firing a beam. Now he also has, the Reggie Shot is basically Ultra 721's equivalent to the Wide Shot. But instead of holding his arm on his hand, he'll close his arm in his hand in a fist and put it next to his elbow, but still firing that same shot from pinky to elbow. And since we're already here, let's go over Ultraman Jack. Now, Ultraman Jack was featured in The Return of Ultraman, and was originally going to be, and similar to the title, was originally going to be Ultraman, even being called that. However, his name was changed to Ultraman Jack. Now, as you can see with the body structure, the body markings, Ultraman Jack is not the original Ultraman, except for the color timer and head. Now, similar to Zofty later down the line, instead of using a transformation device, Ultraman Jack and his host, Heidike Go, would transform via willpower. Now, Ultraman Jack has the same techniques as Ultraman, which once again makes sense considering he was supposed to be an Ultraman. Now, but instead, he has another technique called the Ultra Slash. Again, another technique I went over in my Ginga video. However, I'll go over it again for you newcomers. So Jack will clutch his left arm with his right hand, like so, and hold his hand out straight like so, like he was doing a chopping maneuver. Then a beam will fire from his fingertips. Now, gear. Now, I know he has gear. Here we go. This being the Ultra Bracelet. Dang it, I want to see. Now, the Ultra Bracelet has had two forms. This was his original Ultra Bracelet, and this is a mass-produced one. It was actually given to him by Ultra 7, and was later mass-produced so all Ultras could use it. Now, this gives Ultraman Jack an ability to a variety of weapons and different techniques. However, his most notable technique is the Ultra Spark, as you can see holding here, which can change into the which can transform into the Ultra Lance. I can't really go to image. Basically, the shaft part of the Ultra Spark becomes longer. And I think I'm going to stop it there. So, who have we covered today? We covered Ultraman and his counterpart, Ultraman Powered, Ultraman Zofty, Ultra 7 and his two counterparts, Ultra 7X and Ultra 721 or Ultra 721. And we've covered Ultraman Jack. We've covered 6 Ultras today. So, I think next time we're going to cover next time we'll cover the 5th Ultra part of the Ultra Brothers, that being Ultraman Ace. We'll also cover Toro and his parents, the father of Ultra and the mother of Ultra. But that's for next time. And don't expect me to give a little brief lesson like I've been doing in my last 2 videos for this one. Because, well, these were Showa era Ultraman. And it wasn't really about a lesson, but just being there to help. Part of the coast for Showa Tokusatsu. But that's pretty much it. What do you guys think? Want me to go over an Ultraman that you've seen but never really known much about? Let me know in the comments down below. Hit that like button and please subscribe to my channel. I don't update often, but when I do, hit that bell icon, you'll get all latest updates. Well, that's all for now. This is Jack Killer saying, Showa! And see ya!